So anytime you see an inflated lifespan estimated for hollow fiber water filters for backpacking, it's okay to be skeptical. I'm going to tell you why. Stick around. Hey everybody, I'm David on Earth. Thank you for coming to the channel. Now I've been looking into the science of backpacking water filters. While in that process, I dove into the most common filter medium. It's the UF hollow fiber membrane. Brands like Sawyer and MSR and LifeStraw and Katadyn all offer filters that use this UF hollow fiber membrane. So let's talk about what this membrane is. So the UF in UF hollow fiber membrane, what that means is ultrafiltration. Now that's not just a fancy marketing term. It's actually a scientific designation for the type of semi-permeable membrane. So this membrane is typically made up of many thousands of hollow, tiny, tube-like fibers, and the material is typically one of a couple of different polymer materials. Not so important for this, but just so you know.
Brilliant!
There are pores in each one of these tube-like fibers. That's what makes it semi-permeable. So, some things can get through it, some things can't. So the size of the pores determine what can get through it, making it great for filtration applications. The filtration method of these filters, or the process that's used to make backpacking water filters, goes something like this. When water is pushed through this membrane, by any means, like using a bottle on one end to squeeze the water through it, or maybe using a gravity-fed bladder, or maybe sucking through a straw. Okay, so when you do this, anything that's in the water that exceeds the pore size within the fibers will be trapped on the outside of the fiber, while anything smaller than the pore size will pass through the filter and into the hollow core, and then from within the hollow core come out the other end of the filter as filtered water. This is how all bacteria and the very dangerous and common backcountry viruses and parasites won't make it through this filter. Think Giardia, E. coli, Cryptosporidium. None of those things will make it through. Okay, so the size of these pores and these fibers, these are measured in microns. 1 micron is 1/1,000,000th of a meter. So I want you to visualize the size of what we're talking about here. The filters we'll talk about today have pores that are the size of 0.1 micron, meaning that if there was a dot for every pore, you would have 10 million dots along the length of 1 meter. That's pretty small. And these fibers are manufactured with this specific pore size, and they are certified to maintain this kind of standard. So, pretty strict. The appearance of the membrane in these filters kind of look identical. There's no way to tell them apart with your naked eye. But under a microscope, you could notice maybe small variances in craftsmanship or the quality of the raw materials between the manufacturers, so I'll grant you that. But for the consumer, if the membrane and the filters have been certified and verified by a third-party licensed laboratory, we should expect performance that meets or exceeds those standards. And it's really to the advantage of the manufacturer to get those third parties involved with their products. So when you're looking for a water filter, check to see if the product has been certified by a licensed agency. Now, all the background information I just provided was necessary to answer the primary topic of this video. What exactly determines the lifespan of these filters? Well, the primary factors are, I put these in kind of broad categories. Number 1 is the quality of the filter membrane. Number 2 is the operational method of the filter. Number 3 is water quality at the input of the filter. And number 4 is filter care, including back flushing method and frequency, storage, and general care. Now let's take a look at these one at a time. The quality of the filter membrane. Although there may be differences in craftsmanship and raw materials used to manufacture the filter membrane, the fact that the product has been certified by a licensed lab should account for any major concerns I may have about the quality of the product and the membrane. And so with regard to lifespan, I'm going to say this is kind of a wash. Okay, so let's look at the operational method. Every product that I would consider for a backpacking filter operates really kind of the same way. Water flows through in one direction with a little bit of pressure, and the membrane works as it does, and on the output you have filtered water. It's really kind of that simple. Now, the back flushing method is an important factor too. But if you're back flushing with about the same amount of clean water from a bottle squeezed through the filter in the opposite direction at about the same pressure and the same amount of time on different filters, and all those filters are about the same size, then this is not a strong enough differentiator between the two different filters when considering the lifespan. So I'm going to call that kind of a wash too, as long as you're consistent between the filters and how you're back flushing. Okay, so let's talk about water quality at the input. Well, this is user controlled. So let's just agree to follow the guidelines of the manufacturer. And the fourth thing is filtered care. Again, this is user controlled. Let's just follow the manufacturer guidelines here too, okay? So we can see here that if given two different filters that are about the same size, that use very similar operating methods, and we are using similar water quality at the input, and we're following proper filter care, then the lifespan should be about the same for each filter. We shouldn't expect one filter to have a lifespan that is maybe multiple times more than the other one, right?
For sure.
Okay, this starts getting interesting when we read what manufacturers are advertising about the lifespan of their products. To be fair, let's only look at filters using a 0.1 micron UF hollow fiber membrane. I selected 3 of them on the market today, and so let's take a look at each one. So the first one is a Sawyer Squeeze, very popular. They tell us that the lifespan of their product is almost indefinite. It's rated up to 100,000 gallons, which is 379,000 liters. Another one out there is Membrane Solutions Straw Filter. They advertise 1,320 gallons, which is 5,000 liters. And then the third one I looked at was the Katadyn BeFree. They tell us the lifespan of this product is 264 gallons, which is about 1,000 liters. But it's important to note here that the filter membrane is about half the size of the other two I just mentioned, and there's no pressurized backflush method to clean this filter. So I'm going to take this out of the discussion because it's too different. So now we're just left with the Sawyer Squeeze and the membrane solutions. So we have to ask, why is the Sawyer Squeeze lifespan 375,000 liters and the membrane solutions filter only 5,000 liters? Well, they're about the same size. Their back flushing method is about the same, and their flow rate is comparable as well. So what's the deal? So I couldn't find anything on their websites that presented evidence that would support the Sawyer Squeeze inflating their lifespan, or membrane solutions maybe being overcautious about theirs. Nor could I find any clues in my research about these filters and how they work that would suggest a reason for such a gap in these lifespan claims. So I either didn't know or understand enough about these products, or something fishy's going on here. So, like any curious person, I asked both of those companies to explain themselves. Explain yourself, son! Now, Membrane Solution replies, and they said, if the filter is not clogged after 5,000 liters, then continue to use it if you want to. They also said that it's important to follow proper care of the filter. That really mucky water could impact the lifespan. That the frequency of back flushing will affect the lifespan. That proper storage is important. And then I asked them if 379,000 liters could be reasonable for their product. And they said that would be very optimistic. In fact, the word they used was exaggerated.
Whoop.
Then I contacted Sawyer. I gave them a few days, no response.
Why?
But their marketing material on Amazon suggests that if you backflush, it will be nearly indefinitely for the lifespan. Now, anecdotally, almost everyone I know that has had or has a Sawyer Squeeze reported that it failed way before the 379,000 liter point. And many reported that they were following product care guidelines. So I have no way of confirming that information, or I don't have any data to support this. It's not a scientific observation, and it has little or no basis for me to defend, so I'm not going to. So just take that for what it's worth. So this is where I ask you, what have you experienced with your Sawyer Squeeze in terms of lifespan? Anyone out there even close to 379,000 liters filtered with this thing? By the way, I did a little math here, and if you filtered 4 liters per day, and that's about 95,000 days of use when considering the lifespan of 379,000 liters. All right, so let's say you spend 30 days a year using this filter, filtering 4 liters per day. Well, that comes to just under 3,200 years of use. Yeah, so that kind of fits the definition of nearly indefinitely, right?
Yeah, sure.
So in any case, the claim of 379,000 liters is hard to prove or disprove unless you do a blind controlled study of at least 379,000 liters and carefully measure each potentially influencing factor on the lifespan. I don't suspect anyone is doing this kind of testing, and I don't imagine anyone will ever do this kind of testing. If anyone did, it would prove or disprove this claim. So, we're left with believing their claim or not. Also consider that backpackers encounter non-ideal water sources all the time. I know I do. Stock tanks, muddy or murky sources, all kinds of floaties, right? Potentially upstream coagulant contaminants, which are, by the way, really bad for membrane filters. And so we have many situations here that are not ideal for backpackers that we use these filters in like every day. And then add to that our typical user behavior. We don't always back flush as often as we should. We don't always store the filter as we should. We fudge a little bit on the manufacturer care recommendations, right? We're just humans, and we don't always follow the rules.
What are you talking about?
Okay, so you might have picked up a little bit that I'm doubting the claim of the 379,000 liters or nearly indefinite lifetime or lifespan of this Sawyer Squeeze. Really, to me, it looks like a common and safe marketing gimmick to claim something that can't be proven or disproven. That's what marketers do. All that said, I'm not a Sawyer hater. I actually like the company for all they do to help developing countries and people in need of clean water all over the world, and they do this for free.
Yes!
They do incredible work in this regard, and that definitely is kudo worthy. A healthy dose of awesome sauce to Sawyer for that work. Absolutely. And please don't mistake this video as me saying one filter is better than the other. I'm merely looking at the lifespan claims of these. But getting back to the claim of the membrane solutions filter, their lifespan claim of 5,000 liters is probably a little more realistic and reasonable for what backpackers do and how they do it. Don't you think? But hey, listen, you do you. It was fun digging into this. I had a good time with this. I learned a lot. I hope you did. Comments are always welcome, but don't be boing. And far more important than anything I've said here today, go live like you want it. All right, I'll see you on the trail. Hey, this is David on Earth. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment down below. And go to the website for some deals on gear. All right, see you on the trail.